So especially when this is the first thing we do, we want to be attentive to the placement of the feet so the knees themselves are comfortable. We don't want to feel a lot of lateral strain, like strain across the knee, inside to outside. So we can work with that just by repositioning the feet and just by being more conscious of movement in the hip. Knees go to one side, we let the opposite hip lift up and move. Okay, so basically we're just looking for the feeling in the hip, knees and ankles to loosen up, warm up a little bit. And then we're going to switch from here when the knees come up, and we'll just stretch our legs out and just lightly shaking the legs. Like we're bouncing the knees a little bit. And then when we're ready, the feet going in and out. Okay, and I'm just going to push out one heel and then the other heel. I'm just pushing side to side. One heel goes forward, the other leg just naturally pulls back in a little bit. And experiment with how you've got the wrist placed. I'm on my fingertips here rather than the flat palm. It keeps the wrist flat. Pushing one side, then the other. And then, so I'm pushing out here in my right foot, and that right shoulder's coming forward, and then the left. So I'm just rotating as the hip moves, the SI moves, the whole torso's turning side to side. So we're just going to get a couple more of those. I'm going to do more work with that rotation. When I'm ready to, I'm going to come still, and then I'm going to swing the arms forward and just hold anywhere on the legs for a moment. Get a feeling of the hips sinking down and the ability to tuck the tailbone a little bit. I'm going to work with the back of my waist with the tailbone a little tucked. I'm going to see if I can lift from the back of the waist. I'm going to turn the feet in just a little bit, engage the thigh muscles onto my thigh bones. And then when I do breathe in, I'm just going to float my arms up into the air. And when I breathe out, I'm going to keep the arms kind of at shoulder height, but I'm going to turn towards my right leg. My left arm comes out over the right leg. It's not going down. It's going to stay up. The right arm goes behind. Inhale, I'm going to float into the center again. Exhale, I'm going toward the left. So as I reach over a leg, I want to breathe into the low belly. For myself, I want to feel my low belly move inward as I finish that exhale. When I'm exhaling, I'm over either leg. I'm going to take my gaze at the leg, tucking the chin a little bit. And creating a feeling of length at the neck, the back of the head. Now, when I inhale, whenever I get to center and I'm inhaling, maybe lifting the arms a little higher, but really getting rooted, equal weight through the hips. And then when we're doing our inhales, what we'll do is we'll make them a little longer. We'll get the arms a little higher, and that feeling again here, pushing up through the palms and then just flowing. When it's an exhale, just releasing over to the other side. And whenever we're out over our right leg, now we are going to let the hands touch down. So the right hand lands behind us, left hand touches anywhere on that leg. We're going to tuck the chin, look at the knee, and keep breathing out, just melting toward the leg. And then we come to breathing in. Release the arms and just float up when it happens and work for that length through the core. And when we're breathing out, we're just heading again to the other leg, hands touching down. Nice long exhale. Okay, we're going to get one more for each side of the body. So whenever we're done, we're just going to pause, feeling tall here. And all we want to give some attention to is the back body. There's that little bit of tuck to the tailbone. And then check at the neck. And then when we're exhaling, we're just going to return our arms. So this is, again, explore fingertips. We'll take that weight out of the wrists. And then I'm going to bend my knees in again. And when they get up there somewhere, I'm just going to let them go side to side. And then I can keep adjusting the legs, maybe bring them in a little further, and feet in a little closer. Now, when I do drop the knees over to the right side, I'm going to come all the way over. So I'm going to turn myself a little bit toward the right. And this left arm is going to sweep out. It's going to reach out and up. Again, I'm going to push through the palm. I'm going to reach out through the crown of the head, but I'm going to use the eyes to look downward as I push out in the palm. I need an inhale at some point. When it happens, I'm going to come back vertical, and that left arm sweeps back down, and then undo the legs, take them to the other side. Legs get down, hip adjusts, so there's a lift and a turn, and then the arm just sweeps out and push out in the palm. And then when we're ready, inhale brings us back into the center. We're going to head to the other side. It's going to be a little different. This left hand, rather than going up, is going to go down and across. So my left hand is touching somewhere on my right leg. My right fingertips, just there, just the fingertips touch. What I want to do now in the right armpit is lift up where I can. And then I'm going to turn my gaze over toward the right. So take the breath in the belly. The belly sinks in the hips. The hips have a feeling of going downward, but that doesn't mean to push them down. It's just allowing a sinking within the hips. So I'm going to inhale when I'm ready to, coming forward. I'm going to release the arms, and then I'm going to switch legs. So as I go to the left fingertips land, left armpit lifts, right hand touches onto the left leg. I'm going to stay tall and turn. I need a breath. When it happens, the arms float up. Now here's something to play with. We normally take advantage of the hands as we go side to side. But if I just swing my hands out in front, maybe I can just undo the legs and move the legs. And then I'll go back to where I just was. I'm on the right side, right fingertips touching, left hand crossing over. And I turn and look. I need a breath. When it happens, the arms float out. Again, I'm going to experiment with switching the legs without using the hands, lifting in that right armpit, or excuse me, that left armpit. And then when I inhale, I'm going to come forward. And now I'm going to straighten out the legs again. I'm just going to land the hands and just gently bounce the legs, wave the legs a bit. I'm just pausing here for a moment. I'm going to bend in the right leg. Remember, this can be a place where it makes a lot of sense to have a block under the knee. So if we feel just too much stress and pull in the groin here, it's a good idea to support the knee or for the knee itself. So my straight leg, that hand touches the leg, and then as best I can, I'm going to get even weight in the hips without forcing anything, just being aware, releasing down. When I'm ready to inhale, that bent leg, right arm goes outward, comes upward, and now I'm going to start to lean as it comes over, goes toward the straight leg along the ground in front. So just drawing a nice big circle here. Letting the whole torso move naturally as the arm moves. So we don't have to lock the left hand on the left leg. You just have a natural movement throughout the torso. At some point, we're up vertical, and we're going to pause for a moment. We're going to switch the direction of our circle. Now, at some point, we're tall again. Once we make it tall, we're going to pause. And then I'm going to bring up both arms. And just for a moment, press up and lift at the back of the neck. A little tuck up my tailbone. I can look at my straight leg. So I turn a little bit to look down my straight leg. And when I'm breathing out, I'm going to lean over, breathe into the belly. And at some point, just let the arms fall down and touch on the leg. Doesn't matter where we reach, just make contact with the leg. Make sure that the bent leg stays comfortable here. The exhale goes into the belly. And we're going to tuck the chin a little bit. And then we're going to give the elbows a jog. They're going to move apart. We're going to move forward a little bit, and they'll pull the shoulder blades. And get a nice long breath that brings the belly into the hips, into the low back. And just work on relaxing what you can relax in the hips, in the low back. And see if you can shift the workload into the muscles in the belly. Now we're going to come up when we inhale. So as we're ready to inhale, let go of the arms, float up as you breathe in. And we'll just get a feeling of being tall. Now the right hand, it's going to lead. It's going to touch down, fingertips touch. Left hand crosses over somewhere on the bent leg. I'm going to take another twist as I exhale by looking behind. So stay a little strong in the straight leg. Keep that leg gently engaged. And then it's time to breathe in. When it happens, lift both arms, float the arms forward, turning forward, and just keep turning toward the straight leg. We're going to turn as much as is comfortable. So left fingertips touch. Right hand is on the outside of the leg. And as we twist, we won't twist anywhere near as much. What we want to work on is feeling tall. And then we're going to turn frontward. When we inhale, we're going to float the arms up and forward. When we're forward here, we're going to land our fingertips down. And then just carefully walk the fingertips forward. We're going to go forward to the point where either doesn't feel comfortable in the hips, so we back off a little from that, or to go forward further, the hands really have to walk to the side. So we're just looking for where we naturally go straight over, taking the time to pause in that spot, wherever it is. And then to help this kind of movement into the core of the body, breathe the low belly back into the hips. And within the kind of outer muscles of the hips, those big muscles, the ones we can touch, we just want to let them relax. And then our inhale is going to lift the head. We're going to walk our hands in. So bring ourselves back up. So we're going to leave this posture. So my straight leg is going to bend the knee up a little bit. Take my hands behind. Undo that right leg. Shift the weight back so I can give my legs a bit of a shake. And land the feet. And we'll just go right to the other side. So we switch sides. We can, again, need that block or a bit of padding under the knee. And when we switch sides, it's worthwhile just taking a moment to feel that we're comfortable in the hips. We don't necessarily have the same comfort side to side. So just take a moment with that. Just a little tuck to our tailbone, length through the back of the waist, up through the neck. A hand on the straight leg. In breath, sweep out the left arm, bring it up long, guide it over to the straight leg, and then along the ground in front, back up tall. So big circle, letting the torso move with the movement of the arm. And at some point, we're up tall. And when we get tall, we're going to switch the direction for our arm. Now, at some point, we come tall again. When we get there, we're going to pause. And we're going to bring both arms up. Let's take a moment where we stretch up tall. So look after the neck. We lift up at the back of the neck. When we're ready with an exhale, we get the exhale started, moving in the low belly. Lean toward the straight leg. And at some point, simply release the arms down and hold wherever it's a comfortable connection. And take a moment to get a nice long breath into the low belly, moving it inward. We're going to tuck the chin a little and move forward through the crown of the head. And then the elbows go wide, move forward, keep melting down. And just nice, long, smooth breaths into our low belly. And we're going to take a breath. As we inhale, release and just come up slowly. And then when we're ready to, we'll bring the arms up. So we just float the arms up high and we naturally turn to center. And then we're going to keep the exhale going and turn toward that left leg. Left fingertips land, right hand crosses over onto that left leg. And as we're twisting, we're also creating length along the back body. We're going to twist to the other side. So as we inhale, relax the arms, float them out, naturally turn back forward, and just keep turning round to the other side. Staying tall. And on an inhalation, release the arms, float to center. And when we're ready with an exhale, we're going to reach out, land our fingertips, and just carefully walk the fingers forward, melting over. And just pausing where it makes sense for us to pause. Breathe down into the belly. And releasing forward. And we use the inhale, lifting the head, walking the hands back in. Once we're back up, we'll take the hands behind, shift the weight back. I'm going to float the legs up and they'll get a shake again. And then when we're ready, we're going to land the feet. Okay, and we'll just take the legs apart. So just whatever width feels like a good width for today. An in-breath to reach up. Again, we'll pause for a breath or two by pushing up through the palms. A little tuck to the tailbone, and you can feel that shift the back of the waist. And from the inside, see if you can move the back of the waist backward a little bit. Back of the neck going back, back of the head going up. And at some point, we're exhaling. When that happens, we're going to soften the arms. As they come down, they're going to go forward, and we'll just touch the legs anywhere. So just fine tune this distance so it's a good place. Now we're going to go side to side, but this time we're moving in a different way. Lift the right arm as you breathe in. Take it up, and then take it over toward the left leg. Now this right arm can either touch the opposite arm or down on the leg. Doesn't really matter. But what we're going to do with our right side of the body is turn it upward a little bit and just let the whole torso melt a little toward the left leg. And turn the gaze and look upward a little, to the right a little. And then when we're ready to leave, the inhale lifts up through that right arm. It's heading back to the right side. And then it comes low, and then the left arm just follows up and over. So we're just going to go smoothly with our breath. At some point, we need to inhale. And we're going to use that inhale to lift up. And when we're exhaling, that trailing arm travels over. And we can just find a graceful movement.
So Alan, the arm that's going forward, does the hip lift a little bit, or does it need to stay?
The hip is going to lift a little bit.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. In all these movements here, what we're trying to work with isn't so much the hip, right, the sit bone area, but the tailbone. So we don't put weight on the tailbone, but there's a little bit of tucking that happens at the tailbone. And we work with that to keep an extension in the lumbar spine. But here we are, at whatever side we are, the opposite hip will almost certainly be up off the ground. The amount is going to vary anatomically. The reality is, if we began this work when we were very young, like say 6 years old, and we began this kind of gymnastics / yoga, whatever you want to think of it as, if we begin very young, the ligaments, they're still very malleable. So we might run into people who can be way over here and have both hips down. So at either side, what we want to try to work with is literally just experience the tailbone, the sacrum, the lumbar. And even just bringing the awareness and the inner attempt to lengthen, to sink the tailbone, that has the deepest impact long term. Okay, so we're coming to the end. So when we get both arms over at the right leg, that's our last one. Whenever it occurs, from there, we simply come back to the center. And again, we'll just take a minute to give ourselves lots of length. Looking at the tailbone internally, that there's a little bit of tuck there, because it's very easy to lose that tuck of the tailbone and have the lumbar spine push forward. And then at some point, we're going to breathe out. We're going to release the arms down. I'm going to shake up my legs again, just to freshen them up a little bit. And we're going to land. We're going to have the legs straight. We're going to get 1 or 2 twists here. Actually, 2 twists on each side. So I brought the right foot up. What I'd like to be able to find is that feeling of there's my foot flat. There's a little bit of weight in that foot. the knees up, and I could just gently reach forward. And then from here, what I'm going to do is do the open twist. So same hand takes that leg. So right leg, right hand, holding where we like. So with the arm, with using that right arm, I can get a little taller here. And then I'm just going to reach the left back. And when I exhale, I'm just going to turn and look back. Now, when I inhale, I'm just going to release that left arm forward. And then it's going to take itself around the right. So right here, one of the internal adjustments we can make as we turn toward the right, the abdomen comes in contact with this inner thigh. So I'm going to lean back a little bit and see if I can move some of the abdominal wall past that thigh and then close up the gap. So here you've got this elbow wraps tight to the right knee. And now the right fingertips are going to reach behind. If I can work with the fingertips, I get more movement through the shoulder. So I can roll this shoulder back and let it ease downward and lift the torso upward and take my gaze behind. Use an inhale, it's going to bring me forward. So as I turn forward, I'll bring the right arm forward. And it's going to hold the knee for a moment and let it stretch out. Get both legs long, fingertips are out there in front, and I'm just lightly bouncing in the knees a couple of times. And then when I'm ready for the other side, move the weight back a little bit, bend up the left. Now see if I can place this foot. So foot is flat, steady weight, even weight through the foot. Knee, it's kind of a gentle moving forward at the knee. We may need the hands, we may not. It's always interesting to have a look for ourselves. When we're ready, we're going to use our open twist first. So same elbow wraps the knee. Other fingertips land on the ground. Now create some length and then twist to the side. So here we've got a bit of twist going on. Even here, there can be the smallest little tuck to the tailbone, keeping a length in the lumbar spine. So in other words, when we say length in the lumbar spine, in effect, we're keeping the vertebrae slightly apart from each other rather than compressing them onto each other. So when we need a breath, we're going to come back to the front and we'll wrap that right arm out and around the left knee. I'm going to lean back a little bit. I'm going to move that abdominal wall just past that inner thigh and then close up my gap. So there's no weight on the left hand. The left hand can reach behind, fingertips land. And the exhale takes my gaze behind. And then we get the inhale. We'll soften, release forward. We'll get both hands out in front. Send out both legs, fingertips forward, and just lightly shaking the legs. Okay. So I'm just going to get a couple of things here in the lumbar spine. So I'm going to bring my right leg in and up. So I haven't got the foot flat. I've dropped the knee outward. I'm on the outside edge of this right foot. But at the same time, I'm seeing if I can gently press the arch downward. Monitor the knee, make sure the knee's comfortable. And there's about a 90-degree angle here. Somewhere in there is going to work for us. So the inhale is going to bring the arms up. I'm going to push up, up, up. And then monitor the tailbone. Just, you can create that little bit of tuck here quite directly in the tailbone. Move the back of the waist back of the neck back and up. So you can really press up. Okay, now just another breath or two on this bent leg. Gently push the knee downward, gently, and gently push the base of the big toe downward. They won't necessarily move that far, but what we want is the muscle action internally. And then just try the arms wider when you're ready. You can feel how maybe you can get a little more space in the neck there, lifting up at the back of the neck, pressing wide through the heel of the hand. And then we're going to release by letting the arms melt down. And then I'm just going to catch that right leg, straighten it out. And when I'm ready, the left bends in. So it's about a 90-degree angle at the knee. So we've activated the ankle here. So we're on the outside edge of the foot, basically, but at the same time, working the muscles to try to push the arch back down toward the ground. We find those places, we check again in the core body, that little bit of tuck to the tailbone. And then when we're ready, we're going to float the arms up. Again, lifting, pressing for the ceiling. And then working now with the neck. We don't want a jammed up feeling in the neck. So we work with that feeling. If it's there, moving the neck back and up a little bit, the back of the head up a little bit. And then on that bent leg, see if you can, from the inside, have the feeling of the knee pushing outward and the ball of the foot, base of the big toe, pressing toward the mat. And then try the arms wider, pressing wide through the heel of the palm. And then we're going to soften the arms, let the arms release down, soften the legs, straighten out both legs, and they just get a gentle bouncing. And then we're just going to walk our fingertips forward. We're going to tuck the chin and just let the back relax here. So where can we work? The thigh muscles can work, and they draw into our hips. And the belly can work and move into the back. And then if it's okay, with the hands, just hold anywhere on the legs. Truly doesn't matter. We just want the grip so that we can move the elbows a little wider, a little forward. And we want to feel the shoulder blades having been moved. Just keeping the belly lightly tucked in. It's just a light engagement with the thighs. A light movement with the elbows. Okay, we're going to bring ourselves up. So inhale, just slide the arms up the legs. Okay. So we're going to travel now onto our back. Actually, no, let's do hands and knees just for a couple of things. So whenever we go to our hands and knees, we always have to give consideration to, do we have enough padding under the knee? And do take a moment to grab any padding that the body needs. So we may want a bit of blanket under that knee. When we're ready to move, we're just going to take a few cat stretches with the exhalation, tucking the tailbone, pressing the spine upward. We lift the neck upward and tuck the chin. And whenever we get our inhale, we're just going to flatten out the back. Move the breastbone upward, forward. The neck is still going upward, the gaze outward. I'm just going to go smoothly a couple of times here, back and forth. And then when we're ready, after an exhale, just coming into neutral here. I'm going to bring the knees a bit closer when we get to neutral. We're just going to try one or two things here that are one-armed. So I'm going to bring my hands in a bit closer, and I'm going to turn my wrists outward a bit. So think of the thumbs pointed forward approximately. So you can get equal weight on the wrists and then lift up in the back. So think of lifting the armpits up is the best way to position. Now, the right arm, I'm simply going to lift it off the ground. I'm going to take it straight forward by the ear. I'm just going to press out through that palm and turn that, rotate that whole arm and just push forward. As I do that, I want to lift in the neck. I have my chin a little tucked and just push forward for another breath or two. And then let's release. We're going to take that right hand down. Now we're going to go to the left side, reposition the body, make sure the wrists are in a comfortable place, the knees are okay. We've got length through our spine, and the left arm comes up. It's by the ear. We're rotating that whole arm and pushing forward through the palm of the hand, lifting in the neck, tucking the chin. Now see if you can keep the weight even through the knees. There'll be a little weight shift, it's built in, but even it as much as you can. And to do that evening of the weight, we're going to use the belly muscles. We can feel how they can work. And then we're going to release that arm down. And we're going to take the weight off the wrist for a moment. So separate the knees, or keep them close as you wish. Now we're going to drop the hips back. So we either just lay the arms flat and long out in front, so the hips only go so far back, or if we're comfortable, we just put the hips down at the heels. And then we're going to lift the hips again. Now we're going to do one more for each side with a variation here. It's still going to be lifting one arm, but we're also going to lift one leg. So knees close. Position the hands where they're useful. Always be prepared to change the angle a bit on the arms and wrists so the weight doesn't fall in exactly the same place on our wrist. When we're ready, we're going to start with the left leg going back behind us. So I'm going to tuck my toes, ball of the foot's on the mat, press down to the heel, And initially keep the knee down, keep the foot down, but push the knee upward. So I push up at the knee, keeping the foot pressing back. And then when I inhale, I'm going to shift my hips forward a little bit, lift that left leg just to hip height. Lift up through the armpits so the whole shoulder structure comes up away from the ground, and then bring that right arm up, push forward at the palm, press out in the back heel, lift at the waist. So don't let the waist sink down, lift up in the waist, and then lift up in that left armpit. Okay, so one crazy thing, when you exhale, bend the right elbow, bend the left knee, touch them together. When you inhale, straighten out. When you exhale, touch them one more time. Inhale, straighten out, and then put the hand down, the knee down, spread the knees, drop the hips. And just pause for a moment. Okay, now we're gonna have to do the other side. So when we're ready, we'll come back up. So knees closer than hips width. Work a bit with the angle for the wrists. When we're ready for the other side, we're gonna start with the right leg going back. The toes tuck under. So we press down to the heel. And keeping the foot where it is, just gently press upward at the knee. And we need an inhale. We're going to shift the weight forward. So now we have our right leg at hip height. And then the left arm comes straight out by the ear, pushing out through the palm of the hand. Pressing down into the back heel. And then do the work with the tailbone a little tucked. Back of the waist lifting up rather than sinking down. Lifting in the right armpit. And then here's the crazy part. When you exhale, bend that left elbow, bring it to the right knee. Inhale, stretch it back out. Exhale, see if elbow and knee can touch. Go long one last time. And then hand and knee back down. Sink the hips back. Release the head down. So for a couple of breaths, find a comfortable position and just pausing. And then we're going to bring ourselves up. We're going to make our way now onto our back. So taking a moment to release the spine onto the mat. And when we're ready, we're going to reach our knees. We'll draw them in toward the armpits. We're going to lift the feet higher than the knees and circle at the ankles. So getting circles in both directions. And then coming neutral at the ankle, and move the feet in circles around the knee. Using both directions. And then come neutral again and put the hands on top of the knees. Just let the feet rest downward. And then with the hands, take the knees wide and then circle them close together. Working with both directions. And then just coming neutral, drawing the knees in. Now bringing the knees close together, about hips width apart, and lift the heels higher than the knees. We want to have the tailbone clearly up off the mat, and then a bit of energy in the belly to help move the back of the waist into the mat. And then cross the wrists. We'll place a hand on the opposite knee. And just drawing the legs in a bit, and then release the right arm. Take it vertical, the palm toward the ceiling, rotate the arm, push up through the palm, shoulder lifts, and then lower the right arm close to the ear and push out through the palm of the hand. And right here, find the back of the waist, make sure it's sinking toward the mat. And then take the left heel down onto the mat with the leg bent, and then scrape out along the heel to lengthen the left leg. As we push through that left heel, we want to again bring the back of the waist into the mat. And we're going to work with the eyes. We want the gaze to go downward. The chin is tucked, lengthening at the back of the neck. And now let's move. When we inhale, bring that left leg vertical, the right arm vertical. They both press toward the ceiling for a moment, and then bend the knee and put the hand on the knee. So both hands are on knees. We just check that our tailbone is still lifted. Back of the waist is sinking into the ground. And then we'll go to the other side, extending left arm, rotate the arm, push up in the palm. And then bring the arm down near the ear and press out through the hand. Take the right heel down and scrape out the right leg along the ground. We're pressing in the heel and in the palm and sinking the back of the waist into the mat. And then work with the eyes. The chin is tucked, the gaze going downward. And then when we inhale, we'll bring the right leg vertical, left arm vertical, pushing upward for a moment. And then return the hand to the bent knee. Hold both knees for a moment and just lift the tailbone. And we're going to go back to our first side, extending up the right arm, rotating the arm, pressing up in the palm. And then we're going to bring the arm down near the ear and press out through our palm, lowering the left heel, stretch out long in the leg. Now right here, bring the attention to the low back. So if you can sink it down as you press outward in both directions. And then we're going to leave. As we inhale, bring up the left leg, bring up the right arm, pushing for the ceiling. And then put a hand back on the bent knee. Draw both knees in a bit and tuck the tailbone up. And then for the other side, extend the left arm, pressing upward, lower near the ear, and press back. And then the right heel lands, and we scrape out the leg, push out in the foot and through the palm. And sinking in the low back. Okay, now inhale, brings up the right leg, brings up the left arm, push up for the ceiling, and then bend the knee, bend the elbow. Now let's put the hands back on their own knees. Take the knees a little wider apart, move them toward the armpits. And then just let the right knee go and let the right foot touch the ground, knees bent. And then the left hand, reach down the inside of the leg and see if you can get hold of the left heel. So we're going to open our left knee up to about 90 degrees and draw downward. So as we draw down, the arm does the work. We relax the hip and the thigh. And then let's make the right leg a bit longer, not fully straight, but further down the mat. We come to an exhale, shift the weight to the left. Our right hip's off the ground, and we push outward through that left heel. Be careful with the knee. We want to work the hip and the thigh here. And then we're going to soften the left knee. We're going to roll onto our back. Once we're on the back, the right hand gets the left knee. And we roll over to the right side and push out at the heel. And then we're going to switch again. We come on the back, changing hands. We go left. And when we're ready, switching again to take the left leg over to the right side. And when we get that left leg on the right side, let's pause for an extra breath or two. Now, when we're here, the right leg, we've got it long. See if you can put the outside edge of the right leg pressing gently on the ground. Take the left hand, put the fingers just behind the head, and we'll turn the gaze upward toward the ceiling. And then just see if that left elbow can very gently press toward the ground. So we don't need a lot of force. We just want the softest awareness of releasing, lightly pushing toward the ground. Just looking to feel the shoulder blade move, the shoulder move a little bit here. And then soften the left arm, bring the elbow upward, turn the head toward the right side. And we're going to come onto our back again. Soften the left leg, rolling onto the back. Bring both knees in, and we're going to hold the hands on both knees, moving the knees toward the armpits. And then for the other side, we'll let go of the left leg and let the foot touch down. And then the right hand comes on the inside of the right leg, reaching down for the heel. So we're going to open up that right leg about a 90-degree angle. Gently with the arm, draw the leg down, relaxing in the thigh and in the hip. And then lengthening the left leg, not straight, but just comfortably long. On the exhale, shift the weight to the right side. And press out through the heel. And when we're ready, switching sides by coming on the back, changing the hand that holds the heel, flowing to the opposite side. A couple more times, just flowing smoothly side to side. Now, when we get the right leg on the left side, we're going to stay there. Once we're on the side, on the left side, the lower leg, the left leg, so you can press some part of the outside edge of that foot against the ground. And then take the right hand behind the head, elbows bent, rest the head on the palm, turn the head upward, the gaze is upward. And it's the very lightest pressing, seeing if we can press the elbow toward the ground. We're going to try to keep our neck relaxed here rather than trigger the neck. And then to release from here, bring the elbow upward, move it over a bit to the other side. And then we'll move the hand. We're going to come on the back by softening the right leg, rolling onto the back. We're going to bring both knees in. Just gently moving the knees toward the armpits. The breath goes into the belly, letting the belly rise and fall as we breathe. And then we're going to release the legs and let the feet touch down. So just for a moment, keep the knees bent, just let them drop open. Rest the arms. And then on the right leg, see if you can find the outside edge of the right foot. Kind of press it lightly onto the ground. And then scrape out down that right leg. So scrape that foot out long. Let the leg extend and release. Same thing on the left. Find the outside edge of the foot and just scrape out long through that leg and then let it release. And then adjust the distance we have between the feet so we're comfortable in our hips. Adjust the length of the body. Just follow the breath.